Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Markets with Morning Joe. I'm your host, Joe Nasser, and today is April 6th. It is Sunday, 4:35 Eastern Time. It is not the morning here, although it is morning time somewhere in the world. So the name Markets with Morning Joe still means something to someone in the world. It's just not here in New Hampshire, but I know I keep promising a morning episode, and I keep failing to do so, but it's been, well, nothing but excuses on my end. I got nothing but excuses. So I'm just going to have to do a better job at making morning episodes, and I will, I promise, at some point. But enough about me and my attendance. Let's talk about the markets. My God, it has been amazing to say the least. Um, what a fucking wild week just passed. Here I have a chart of the S&P 500, and you can see the massive drop in the SPX as well as the Nasdaq, and quite frankly, the entire most of the markets. But just the last day on Friday, just that one day alone, we had a 6% drop just about in the SPX, in the S&P 500. That is massive. The day before that, which was Thursday, was a 4.8, almost a 5% drop. So basically what happened was, if you've been following along with what's going on with everything, you have on Wednesday, Trump had, what was it called? Um, what was he calling it? My mind just went blank. Liberation Day. Okay. Basically, after the close, they waited until 4 o'clock after the markets closed to make their announcement about the tariffs. And at first, it started off. The markets went up a little bit higher after the close, and then in the beginning of a speech, and then it basically just sold off. Once he started talking about all the different tariffs, the market just sold off, and you can see it basically just wiped out everything that was gained on not just Wednesday, but Monday and Tuesday, and it gapped down, and it opened on Thursday below the Monday lows. It wiped out everything over the last 2 or 3 weeks right here. But yeah, basically going back to the 12th, so 3 weeks. So all of this sideways chop was, like I have been saying for the last 4 weeks or 3 weeks, well, 4 weeks now. This has been sideways consolidation. This is bear flag consolidation, and it was a sign that the markets were going lower. So for a little while there, it looked like maybe, just maybe, we were going to go higher. Okay, and it failed at the 200-day moving average right here on the 26th. All right, so this was a fake out. It faked out a lot of people, including myself. All right, when I was short here, and I was waiting for confirmation to go higher, and it didn't. It was a fake out on Tuesday the 25th. I talked about this last week in a couple of my videos, and the markets basically just sold off that day, that week. Okay, and there was a couple of 3 days of upwards movement as expected, right into Trump's tariff announcement, and then that's it. The markets just basically sold off, but sold off more than anybody, including myself, would have ever imagined in a matter of 2 days. I mean, you look at the move. First of all, you look at the move from the very top, all right, back in February 19th, when the market basically topped out. That was at 61.50, just about. And it took from February 19th down to March 12th. So almost a month, okay, of basically selling off. And that was considered one of the 5 fastest sell-offs in history. All right, and it basically dropped about 10% from the 19th to March 12th. And then we had for 3 weeks, okay, so for almost 4 weeks, so almost the same time as this, we had sideways chop, okay, so a little bit of up and down movement, and it was wild. Those weeks were wild, a lot of choppiness, a lot of confusion, The markets was trying to trick you left and right. I mean, every day was crazy, wild, wild swings every day. But I knew that, you know, once it got back above this blue trend line, right, this parallel channel blue line right here, once it got back into that area and it made its way up over the white trend line that I have here, that was considered resistance to me, but it got up there and I wanted to see a confirmation, and it did confirm technically on Tuesday, all right, but it was a fake out. It was a false break. There were no further confirmations above that, and it sold off and it just ripped to the downside. And it basically in 2 days wiped out. We had a move in a matter of 2.5 days, really, because you want to count that overnight. And all of this, all the selling really happened overnight. That's the crazy part. That's really the crazy part, was it all happened after hours in the futures. And so like when the markets opened up the following day, they had already been down so much. So basically the move from Wednesday night, 5690, call it 5700, down to 5,000. Guys, in 2.5 days, okay, from Wednesday night after the close, we lost $700 just about in the SPX. All right. 57. Okay, so a little bit less than 57. Call it 650 or so. 650. I mean, we dropped $600 from here. So that's the measured move basically from here. You call it 61.49 to 55. Okay, that's 160 point, 100 and what is it? 61, 50. Yeah, so 150 points, 650 points, just about 635 points. We dropped that from here, 57.89 to 57, 50.70 in 3 days almost. Most of it was in 3 days. I mean, that's insane. I mean, the magnitude of this fall in a matter of 2.5 days. Wow. I mean, you look at a weekly chart pattern. Look at the size of this drop. Just in 1 week, man. I mean, this drop was equal to this drop over a matter of 4 weeks, a month. That's got to be probably the fastest drop, or one of the fastest drops in history. I mean, they're comparing it to the drops of COVID, when COVID sold off. Anyhow, all right, so where is this going next? So there's, first of all, 5,000 is a pretty strong support. There's some support right here at the 49.58 level. All right, so we could very well see that Monday morning. Okay, and maybe I'm gonna make a line right here. So 59, 49.58, somewhere around that area. There's some decent support right here. If I go and I make a long-term trend line from here, all right, so from this low, touching the low, so from the COVID low, okay, oh no, that's not even the COVID low, that's the low of October 22, to this low right here in October of 23, all right, and this trend line kind of matches up with this low right here from April 24 at 5,000. So there's some support here. That should be a pretty good support right below 5,000. And 5,000 is a big even number, so that might, it's definitely going to tag 5,000 and probably pierce it a little bit, which brings it down to here. The question is, do we bounce off of this level right here? And if we do, it's going to be short term. I don't think it's going to be a long-term rally. We could see a 300, maybe a $400 move, okay, higher, up to like 53, 5,400. If I go back to a daily chart, you'll see there's a lot of recent. That's basically where it fell from on Thursday, which is nuts. Isn't that crazy? I mean, just in 1 day, we lost 400 points in 1 day. Wow. Unbelievable. Anyway, we can bounce off of this trend line support right here, okay, and maybe if there's enough good news back up to 53, 5400, and if there's really enough good news, and it probably won't happen in a day or two, it might be over a couple of weeks, we could possibly see a move back up to $5,700, maybe 55, somewhere between 55, 57. But that's only if there's really, really positive news, okay? If there isn't positive news and there's bad news, a continuation of uncertainty and retaliatory tariffs from other countries, then we're going to break through this $5,000 level, and we're going to come down lower, at least to maybe the $4,800 level right here. You see the highs in January 22, $4,800. The next level of support would be 45.87. So the big supports would be basically, like I said, 49.74 or 4,800 or 4,600 approximately, okay? And the 200-day moving average on a weekly chart is at 46.71. So we're coming into a lot of support here. So it all depends on how much uncertainty and back and forth with the tariff retaliation we get ourselves into. Going to a monthly chart, guys. All right, let me clear all of this out so you can see a monthly chart. Now you see this last trend line. I'm going to leave that right here. This last trend line at 4,600? Yeah, that's coinciding with the 50-day moving average on a monthly chart. So, that is a pretty big support level right there. All right. So we came right through the 20-day moving average on a monthly chart. So my guess is, the selling isn't over. I mean, we could definitely get a bounce in this area right here, somewhere between 4,800 and 5,000. Okay. And again, if we get lower than that, there's a lot of resistance. I'm sorry, a lot of support at 46, 4,700. So we should be able to get a somewhat of a counter trend bounce through here around this area. How long it lasts for, I don't know. That all depends on everything that's happening with Trump and all the negotiations and whatnot. Let's get to the Qs. All right, so the Qs. I mean, I got my Fibonacci retrace here. So the Qs are coming in. They're already at a really good level, not a solid support, but a decent level of support right where they are right now at 422. There's the low right here. I don't know if you can see it in this chart, but the bottom of this monthly August 2024 chart that we basically came right into that August low of 2024. So there's some pretty good support here. Is it going to hold? We're coming into the 382 level on the Fibonacci. All right, so that's decent support, but that's not to say that we can't get lower, right? So we could definitely get lower based on this chart. There's a 50-day moving average at 380. I can totally see us getting there, and below that would be 350. Let me get rid of this Fibonacci. All right, so you can see that they topped out. Here's the topping tail. This is a real topping tail back in December. Yeah, that's when it really topped out. And then, there was a couple of months where it was a fake out. But so that's, let's see. We just came right through all this support right here. And we've got on a weekly basis support at 385. So a very good chance we'll get to 385 not too far from now. We'll see how it goes. Let's talk about gold. Gold sold off this week, and ironically Bitcoin held for a few days. Okay, while everything was selling off Thursday and Friday, Bitcoin held, but gold sold off with it. So you see a big turnaround. But the difference is gold has been making new all-time highs throughout this whole process, and it basically hit the level. I mean, it made it to $3,200 on the futures. Okay, I mean, that was a big number, and it came back, and it's at the 20-day moving average right now. But there's some really good support here at 29.67, 29.80, somewhere in that area. So I think we're going to see gold turn around. We might even see gold turn around tomorrow or tonight even. That being said, Bitcoin, like I said, it held really good, surprisingly, on Thursday and Friday, right? So as the markets were selling off, Bitcoin went up a couple of days, but look at it now. Every Sunday, this fucking thing sells off. You notice that? Every Sunday, there's a big move in Bitcoin, whether it's going up or down. All right. It's so annoying to me because, throughout the week, it doesn't happen. But look at this sell off today. I mean, give me a break. So I'm guessing I wouldn't be surprised to see a bounce back higher on Monday, back to 82, 83,000. All right. And then another fall. I mean, I don't see Bitcoin getting higher than 85,000 again. If it does, 87 is the max. Every time it comes into this trend line resistance, it gets rejected. It gets a little bit, it might go a little bit higher, but that's it. Now we're coming into a huge amount of resistance. Bitcoin's going to 70,000, 69, 70,000, maybe even 68. And maybe eventually even lower than that. And I've been saying this for months, guys, at this point. So it's only a matter of time. It's been, if it wasn't for Michael Saylor pumping the shit out of Bitcoin, as well as Eric Trump and everybody else promoting Bitcoin, and this thing would have fucking failed, a long time ago already. It would have been at 68,000. I mean, Michael Saylor has been buying Bitcoin like more than anybody else, and that's basically what I think has been keeping it alive these last few weeks. We're almost out of time on this video, so I'm just going to talk about NVIDIA sold off. The semiconductors all sold off, which I have been expecting for the last couple of months. NVIDIA is at really good support level right now, so we might get a bounce in the semis, and then continuation. Microsoft. I talked about Microsoft and Apple last week, how they put in weekly head and shoulders, and it confirmed they broke the trend line. And here you go, guys. I mentioned it last week. I said, or maybe it was the week before. I don't know. Yeah, it was last week. No, I'm sorry. It was, I can't remember if it was last week, but last week it definitely broke below the trend line. Okay, and I pointed that out. But I told you guys, if Microsoft breaks below this trend line, the market's in real trouble. Okay, and look what happened. All right, it basically, broke below the trend line, closed on Friday the 28th, and then it gapped down Monday. It had a few days back up over the trend line, and then it fucking sold off like everything else. So that's not done. Microsoft's not done selling. It's into a little bit of support. We might see it at 350, 353. Somewhere around between 345 and 353. I think this week. Maybe we'll get another bounce, but eventually it's going lower, okay? And the same thing with Apple. Apple got annihilated Thursday and Friday because their connection to China. I mean, you look at this massive, here's the head and shoulder neckline that I had on Apple, okay? It closed below it on the week of Monday the 10th, all right? The following week, it had a little bit of an up week, okay, it's still closed below that trend line. The following week on a daily level, all right, it tried to fool a lot of people, all right, so it was trading right around this trend line a little bit. It looked like it was going to break, and you see how I have this support right here, this not support, resistance line right here, similar to Bitcoin, right? It couldn't break through. It looked like it was going to break through, but it couldn't, and it fucking, look at the giant gap down from Wednesday night at 225, okay, it closed at 223, gap down the following day to 205, and it ended up closing at 203. And then on Friday, made all the way down to 188, you guys. So it's below this channel, and that's it. I'm running out of time on this video. I'm gonna figure out a way to make longer videos for you guys, but this Apple, that's it. It's down to the bottom of this trend line. If Apple loses this, forget it. It's over. I mean, you're gonna see lows on Apple, like lows you haven't seen in a while. So, all right. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, guys. please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Check me out on the YouTube channel if you're watching this on TradingView. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.